Glory, glory, and praise to the Most High for another day above ground is good, especially if you ain't got your soul in order, your mind right. Every day we supposed to have a repentant heart. That's why the Most High said David was a man after his own heart. For the simple fact, David wasn't perfect. I don't think you're going to find any man in the biblical scripture to be perfect other than Yahshua, I'm sorry. And as I always come before you, I just come humbly as a servant, as a watchman, as a man with imperfection and flaws that the Most High seem to have grace and mercy on. Stagnation versus being content. And like I always tell you, when I come here, man, I gotta be transparent, and I give my testimonies, and I can only speak my experiences, and as I've been walking this walk, I had my stagnant moments, and I had my moments of being content. Sometimes that battle that rages on within inside you is more vicious than the one that rages on outside of you. Of course, we got all type of things we going up against, Like I said, it's the kingdom of light versus the kingdom of darkness. It's a family feud. As I think about it, right? Think about it when you got a mother and you got a father, right? And the mother and the father was married, they get divorced or they separate. Sometimes the kids have to make a decision on who they want to go with. And now just bear with me here as I try to put this into a perspective of understanding. So the Most High is the father. The world is the mother. The world done left the Most High and then turned unto who you want to call your stepdaddy, your stepfather, which is the God of this world. Baal, Lucifer, Satan. And usually when you pick the side of the mother, you got to take what comes with the mother, right? Same way if it's a man coming into the life of a female, he has to accept those children, right? Now, us as the children of the Most High, we love our Father. So we want to stay unto our Father. But we know that the world, which is our mother, she birthed us. And what brought me to this analogy was really as I thought about it, even in the physical plane, right? Most times, what, 90% out of 100, children gravitate to the mother more than they gravitate to the father, right? So meaning it's always respect and love for the mothers, I'm not discrediting the fathers. I mean, like I said, to be one, I just understand that burden that it comes with, and I don't mean to say it's a burden because it's not. It is a blessing. It's wonderful to have children, you know, to have seeds, to be fruitful, to multiply, especially if you're taking care of yours and you there for them, you know. But we know as men, it can be challenging at times to be there for another life when you sitting there trying to put together your own, really, you know. But what my analogy was coming from was more so saying, okay, some of us we stay to the Most High. Some of us are choosing this world, which is the mother. And when we choose the world, most likely we're choosing Lucifer, Baal, all these other paganistic gods that we have that is returning. It's a book that I'm reading by Jonathan Kahn, and it's really good. It talks about the return of gods, right? Because if you really understand the story of Yahshua, which is in Matthew's, and what he really came down to do, yes, to you know, if you go back to Moses, Moses was there to set the captives free, right? Also, Yahshua came down to set the children of Israel free from the bondage that we place ourselves in. And it's so crazy, you know, because we put ourselves in predicaments. We put ourselves in these positions, but then we cry out to the Most High to get us out of it. And most of us, just like a child, when the parent comes and they nurture you and they get you out of them situations and predicament, what do? You go right back and find yourself in another situation. So I look at my life as a father, and I can only imagine how the Most High can only be looking at me at times, especially going through my stagnant periods where I'm unto Him. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. But then I find myself reeling back. What he say, like a dog going back to the vomit, because that detachment away from my mother, from the world, is not something that I'm mentally or physically prepared for, right? But my father is teaching me as a man, I need to be able to stand on my own and be weaned off of that nourishment that my mother tends to give me. And all she is doing is coddling me and telling me that I'm okay to do what I'm doing. You know, I look at how some mothers are with their sons, especially, but with their children, period. They can't see no wrong in their child. You know, your child could be at school being a monster, being terrorizing everything. But as a mother, that ain't my child, not like that. But the Bible also speaks that women will give birth to monsters. And one thing, understand, man, I love children. You know, I love those who are willing to gain understanding. Because right now you have a generation that at this point don't want to have understanding, don't even care to listen to nobody, you know. And I remember being young, so that's why I say I can relate on so many different levels, because being young, you feel like you entitled. You feel like can't nobody tell you nothing. Feel like anything you do, you okay. But you have to realize being young is just a stepping stone in life, right? that as you get older, you start to supposedly mature. But as I see, you have some adults who still have that childish mentality. So they don't want to evolve because they've been coddled so much by the mother, been coddled by this world, that anything that the world has going on, we rocking with it. And see, when the Most High was the Father, he kept order and decency. But now that he's divorcing himself away from this world, and mom done found a new lover, and this lover is immature, and he has no real care or love for the children of this woman that he's dealing with. His only thing is to infiltrate and change things the way he wanted it to be. Get all the things of the father out of the picture. You know, and he's trying to move in, and he's trying to be the big boss, you know. And I'm hoping I'm making some type of sense with my analogy, but I feel that and I sense it, you know, spiritually, because again, this is a spiritual warfare that is raging. And like in my other video, like I said, it will do nothing but intensify. But you still got to stand your ground no matter what. You got to stand for what you know to be true. And I ain't saying Second Timothy, verse 4 type of truth. You know what they say, people looking for the itching ear, because now the truth has been perverted. The truth has been recycled and washed up. And now truth is whatever you want it to be. No, regardless of how you look at the world, it's always going to be a standard and a moral principle outlook of how you supposed to look at things. But when your sight becomes blurry, or when you start to see things the way they weren't intended to be seen, now you're feeding yourself a lie that you're regurgitating to tell that it's the truth. And like I said, we've been told lies since we came out of the canal of our mother, you know. Oh, you're such a good baby, boo, 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 boo. Understand, you born in this flesh, ain't nothing good about you. Yeah, you innocent, but ain't nothing good about you. See, we got to take it into consideration. We are wretched, filthy, sinful. And because the God of this world is taking hold and taking reins and blinding the view of most people, the true nature of man, which is really the beast, which Paul even referred to man as beast, as I always talk about Nebuchadnezzar, who was turned, was it Nebuchadnezzar? I could be wrong, but who the Most High allowed to become a beast for 7 years. We know 7 is the number of completion. Until he had a repentful heart to realize that what was given to him was given to him from the Most High, and he didn't obtain it on his own. And it's crazy because once he started to realize and come to that understanding, the people around him who knew him, even his own children, plotted on him and killed him. See, that's how you always know when it's something is the truth, because it offends and it has people in uproar. It has people ready to be at your throat. But if you feed them the lie, there's no issues, there's no problem. I could tell Becky, and I'm just using this, for metaphor. Becky probably about 400 pounds, but I could tell Becky, oh, you beautiful, slim, you look good, and it's no issues. And I ain't saying that with everybody because some people do know how to handle the truth, but most don't. But as soon as I tell Becky, Shawty, you big, you need to work on your weight. You need to work. Now, Becky don't like me no more. Becky don't want to deal with me no more. But why would I want somebody around me that's going to tell me the lie? I need people around me who going to tell me the truth. I need people who going to hold me accountable. I need people who going to tell me about myself. Because my whole thing is, if you looking at me so hard and you following me so much, then spit your facts. Say what you feel. But we know we in a society where if you got the light, or if you trying to stay on a moral path, or trying to uphold your principles, you going to have everything come at you to basically avoid all that, right? Or make you feel like you crazy because you trying to stay on a righteous path, or you trying to stay focused on what need to be focused on, right? Everything is meant to shake you up and get you out of your zone, out of your element. But see, right now we have to really stay true to ourselves and the Most High Yah, to our Father, to our Daddy, or as the atheists will call him, Sky Daddy. Um, because I look at it, all these spirits, gods, that's returning. And in the book it talks about the Dark Trinity. You got the possessor, you got the destroyer, you got the one that caused confusion and chaos. You got all these different gods and entities that's now coming in place of the Most High, because we, as the children and as the world, the mother, have rejected that of the Most High. And when we pushed him out the household, and when we pushed him out of our lives, we allow for all these other scandalous, just metaphorically, men to come through to do what they wanted to do with our mother, but also to misguide us and mislead us. And not only that, now they've impregnated our mother and created their own monstrous seeds. Hence, you have the wheat and the tare, the sheep and the goat. And growing up, like I said, as a baby, they say you good. But that ain't entirely true. Because when you talk about the serpent seed doctrine, or you talk about the seed of the enemy, that's wicked. The seeds of the Father. And what's so crazy is because when the Father is present, you can always see the Father in his children. Or even if the Father ain't present, with that inherent DNA inherent, I done seen a couple of friends of mine, to prove my point, that never met their father until they got older. But I will always hear the mother say, man, you just like your father. Now, they never knew their father, never seen their father. But you would hear the mother say, oh, man, you remind me of your father. Or you do this just like your father. Most seeds take after their father. Might look like their mother. And I ain't saying it ain't trace of the mother in them, but the male is the dominant trait, right? It's supposed to be the dominant gene. So if that means that seed is going to pick up most of what their traits from their father. And if you think about it, you go down to cultures, right? Most melanin men, we have a knack for picking up things very quick, right? Even take it back to slavery. You had slaves that they didn't even want to read. But was it hard for us to really, once we started? Nah. They put us to this, we adapt to it very quick. Most Caucasian men, they live on the backs of others. I mean, look at history. Ain't nothing new under the sun. Everything repeats itself, right? And I'm speaking only from experience. I done had brothers, and I'm not saying but I done had melanated men I was working with, right? And they was in high places. But they knew how to come from behind that desk or from that high place and come down and work with us. Where I done had brothers of the Caucasian persuasion who would say, man, I can't do this. I'd rather be behind that desk. Meaning they love to give them orders. They love to build off the back of others. I done seen people of other ethnicity work with no problem. And then don't get me wrong, like I said, this is not to bash no culture or nobody. But at the end of the day, usually things repeat itself. And I say this to say basically, if you take Israel, who was Jacob, and you take Esau, who was Edomite, and you look at the seeds after generation of generations of generations, far knowing the truth, but they still living it out. Esau hated Jacob. Jacob loved Esau, even though he was cunning. Look at Melanie, we so cunning. We gotta find some way to be a trickster. We gotta find some way to do some type of scheming. You know, I just say what I say because I know what I know, and I'm looking at the DNA trait. You got Caucasian people who, some, not all, but majority, don't like us Israelites to save their goddamn life. Most of them want us gone. But what was different from Esau and Jacob compared to Abel and Cain? So I always say this has been a family feud for the longest. Can't stand us, but would love to take what we got covered in this. And again, it can go both ways. You know, I hear melanin brothers complain about how the white man is woo the woo. And it's just not, again, I'm not putting nothing on nobody, because at the end of the day, as a man, whatever decision you make, that's a decision you make. Should nobody have that much power to influence any decision that you choose to make. But we do have to go with some of the factual artifacts that we have that has gotten us to this point to realize we of the children of Israel, we always put ourselves in bondage. We always go after what everybody else doing and feeling like, dang, we got to be a part of something. When the Most High clearly states, come from amongst them. He told Abraham, Father Abraham, who was accounted faithful because he obeyed the words of the Most High. And now we live in a society that say you're the weirdo, you the F-boy, you the this and that, because you choose to walk according to the Most High, according to your Father. Because you don't want to ravage and do what the rest of the children of your mother is doing. You know, and I'm going to end with this. Like I always tell myself, the Most High has everything laid out and he has everything planned out, right? So, you know, I'm here where I'm at for a reason. I went down the road that I went down for a reason. But I always said, if maybe I would have stayed with my father when he had asked me when I was younger, I think I was probably about 11, maybe 10, when he asked me to come stay with him. But because I knew how my father was, and I knew that I could do what I wanted with my mother, I chose to stay with my mother, because I was starting to get into my own understanding, or thinking I knew, which I had no idea. So I decided that I wanted to take that route. But then I think about it, if I maybe would have went with my father, I might would have had some structure. I probably wouldn't have went through half of the things that I went through in my life. You know. And who knows, I could be a multimillionaire now. You feel me? You know, it's always the what if, the shouldas, the couldas. But, you know, that always is a ponder on my mindset, like, because my father had structure. You know, I take nothing from my mother. Like I said, I love her to death. She introduced me to the Most High, so who knows? I could have probably went with my father and probably wouldn't have got this introduction and this structure to the Most High. But I probably had some other different type of structure as a man. Because every boy needs his father, needs a man. And see, we think being a man is being a brute and being ha rah rah rah, and that don't make you no man, Slim. I don't care who tell you that. Because even man gotta have balance and be able to have some nurturing features, you know. Gotta know when to hold them and when to fold them. You gotta have enough understanding to say that, look, every battle ain't meant to be fought and every battle ain't gonna be won. So, you know, I'm saying this to say that our decision of choosing who we belong to is on a physical just as much as a spiritual. Yes, Mother Gaia, Mother Earth, whatever you want to call it, because again, we came from her. Remember what he did with Adam? He took that dust and he blew into it. Now you have an earth now that's being polluted. And the enemy is doing the same thing. He's just using his sleeper cells now to take over. His sleeper cell seeds. So we really have to, open our eyes. And the only way we're going to have those eyes open, and the only way we're going to stay focused and not get stagnant is stay on the Most High. And I get it. At times it can, and I'm only speaking for those who probably coming into this because, like I said, those who've been in, it's not a task. This is the most humbling, most blessful thing, to be born at a time like this, to get the information that is given to us from the Most High, for him to reveal the things that he revealed to us, to even acknowledge us. Like it says in the Bible, who is man that the Most High acknowledges us. So I am grateful and I'm thankful, Besides the extra rhetoric and all the extra that comes with this, man, it's amazing. But y'all enjoy the rest of y'all day, man. I pray for y'all. Y'all pray for me. Enjoy your, just enjoy being in the presence of the Most High. Shalom.